Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another episode of the Yakking Show. And today we're going to be looking at plant-based nutrition. So some interesting stuff for you to see and hear today. But first, let's introduce co-host Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you so much. And thank you also very much for tuning into our show. We so appreciate having you. And as Peter mentioned, we do have another special guest with us today. We are so pleased to welcome Olivier Mankondo to the show today. Hello, Olivier. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm really, really grateful to be here. Thank you.
It's good to see you.
And Olivier is a keynote speaker. He's an author. He's a weight loss and wellness coach with a passion for helping people achieve optimal health. He has been on a plant-based nutrition since 2016. Olivier has lost a significant amount of weight on this diet, which he will share with us in just a little bit. And so let's just jump in, Olivier. Many people are probably asking this question, but how can you know that you're getting enough protein and other nutrients from a plant-based diet?
Yeah, so if we have to look at that first, what I'm going to say to people is that when we look, for example, at the gorilla, with whom we share 99% of the same DNA, which means that our digestive tract are practically the same. But when you look at gorillas, what do they eat? They eat fruit, vegetables, and tender roots. They do not eat meat. But you can see that gorillas are very strong. They are very powerful. You look at rhino, you look at elephant, you look at cows, all of them, they don't eat meat, but they still have the protein requirement met. So that being said, the way I eat fruit, vegetables, legumes, grain, nuts, and seed, and that's where I get all my protein from. And for example, if you look you take 100 grams of meat,
Yes.
there's 26 grams of protein. And you look, for example, at 100 grams of beans, the 21 grams of protein. So when you eat all these legumes like beans, lentils, chickpeas, all of them got protein. So people don't have to be scared of that. It's mostly the meat industry was really, really put in our heads that we need a lot of protein. But in fact, we don't need too much protein because even when we look at the mother's milk, there's only 2% of protein, which makes the baby grow normally. So that's where I get my protein from. I get that from fruit, vegetables, legumes, grain, nuts, and seeds. So people don't have to be scared when they embrace plant-based nutrition, saying that, oh, no, I'm not going to get enough protein. You will still have that.
Right. So
Okay,
I
okay.
just have another question to ask you following up on that. If you're eating a lot of beans, such as chickpeas and other beans, are they not inflammatory to the gut?
No, 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 no. They're not inflammatory to the gut. I know that some people say that there's a lot of anti-nutrient on these beans and legumes and stuff like that. But when you cook them, then the problem is resolved. So when you cook them, there's no problem anymore. All these stuff that can disturb the gut microbiotes and stuff like that will be completely annihilated. So that's why you will see in ancient cultures, they starting to cook the beans and all that just because of that reason.
Okay, okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Olivia, you're going to talk about your story, I know, as we progress, but you're at a stage in your life where you realize you had to lose a huge amount of weight, right? And there's all sorts of diets you could have tried. You could have gone other types of vegetarian, you could have gone Mediterranean, paleo, keto, whatever, but you chose deliberately to go this natural route. What was the motivation for going onto a more natural diet?
Yeah, so basically what happened is that it's not like I did make a choice as such. It's just one day because I was already in a very bad shape, my health was pretty bad. I was just watching a program on YouTube, and there was an Indian yogi who suggested that by just stopping eating animal product, it was
Hmm.
possible to reverse 70% of the chronic diseases. And because my health was pretty bad at that time, that's why I said, okay, I'm going to do that. It's just because I really, really trusted that guy. That's why I went on this journey. But I didn't know that I could go on a vegetarian,
Okay.
or it's just because that's what I said, and because I trust him. That's why I went on that route.
Okay, okay. And
Right.
then just tell us, you lost a lot of weight on that, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. So what happened is that basically, like I grew up in Africa, and when I was growing up, there was no computer games, no video games, so we were forced to play outside, running around, climbing
Hmm.
trees, and all the rest. And I was not exposed to too many animal product, dairy product, and processed food. And my problem started only when I left my country. So I went first to South Africa, where I spent a year. And then I came to the UK. And then I was exposed to a lot of animal product, dairy product, and processed food. And that's why I started to put on weight. And
Right.
at my heaviest, I was 100 kilos or 220 pounds.
Yeah.
And they are starting to have a lot and lots of problems. And they are starting to suffer from high blood pressure. And people should know that high blood pressure is a very dangerous disease. And 50% of people who suffer from heart attack, cardiovascular diseases, problem with the kidneys, it's because of high blood pressure.
Hmm.
And apart from that, I had massive headaches every day or every other day. And in fact, I had to have some painkillers in my wallet all the time because of that. I had dandruff, chest pain, back pain, abscesses, joint pain, and a lot of dental problems because I developed a lot of bad eating habits. So until midnight, I will still have my bottle of Coca-Cola with some alcohol. On the day that I had to go to work, I will drag myself out of bed. And on the day where I was off work, I will sleep until 1 p.m. So I was
Wow.
lost. I didn't know what to do. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me that I will be on medication for the rest of my life. And even though I didn't know what I know now, I said, no, I don't want that. And he said, okay, what are you going to do? I said, okay, I'm going to join a martial art club. So I went to do karate for 4 years,
Hmm.
thinking that my blood pressure will come down, but there was no change. And just like I said, when I watched that Indian yogi, and it was a Wednesday that I watched him. And on Thursday, I came back from work. I had my last meal of meat. And on Friday, I went cold turkey. And 4 months into me changing my lifestyle, I went back to the doctor who told me that I was going to be on medication for the rest of my life, and my blood pressure was completely gone. And after 9 months, I was able to lose 77 pounds. If you can
Wow.
see, for example, the way I used to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. So I was
Incredible.
able to lose 77 pounds or 35 kilos.
Wow.
And what's happened is that since I was able to reverse all my chronic diseases, so I don't suffer from headaches anymore, I don't have any joint pain, every single ailment is completely gone. And in fact, for the past 8 years, I've not been sick a single day, not even a headache.
Wow.
And for the
Very good.
past 9 years, I've not taken a single pill, not even an aspirin or a
Wow.
paracetamol. And on top of that, I've been able to really, really slow down my aging process because a lot of people, when they see me, they think that I am in my late 20s, but I'm
Hmm.
actually 54. So,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
54.
Very
That,
good. Very good.
so this, you attribute this just mainly stopping eating, like you just stopped eating meat. And that is really what created this massive change in you, correct? But
Yes.
you
So,
also cut out dairy, so there's that as well. But mostly it's just cutting out meat.
yeah, so basically, it's all of it. It's meat, it's dairy product, and it's processed food. All these
Processed
three are
foods. Yeah.
not really designed for the human mechanism, and
Sure.
especially the processed food, because as a race, 51% of what we eat is processed food. 42% are animal product, and only 7% are fruit and vegetables. And in those 7%, the majority is potatoes to make French fries. So we eat very, very little of fresh produce. So
Sure.
yes, my transformation is because of I've stopped eating animal product. I've stopped eating dairy product and most processed food. And also because I've incorporated intermittent fasting, because
Hmm.
intermittent fasting is very, very important as well.
Right, right. So, I have to tell
Okay.
you right now, I'm going through a cleanse, and I do this quite often throughout the year. I'll go through a month where I'm just right now doing everything raw fruits and raw vegetables. So nothing cooked, just that on its own. And I have to tell you that I'm feeling, yes, I miss food. And I've mentioned that to Peter. Yeah, I do miss, certain meals and that, especially when you're going through the grocery store and you're smelling all these rotisserie chickens and all
Yeah.
of that. But physically, I feel great. My joints don't hurt. I honestly, it does make a huge difference. Yeah, I but how it's hard to stay motivated. Did you find it hard to start this diet, just doing fruits and vegetables? Because you kind of went cold turkey, cold turkey. Pardon. But you did, right? You basically just stopped all of that and decided to just, how did you do, like, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do.
Yes, it's very hard to do, but what kept me motivated, it's the way, for example, when I was sick, I will have the flu for a week. I will be in bed. I will have my nose blocked up. I can't breathe. My joints starting to ache, banging headaches. And just when I was thinking about all these feelings, that's what kept me on this path, because I didn't want to suffer anymore. And that's what people need to understand. So my mindset was completely different. I had a really winning mindset. I didn't even entertain the possibility that I was going to fail, and that's what most people need to do.
Right.
And because of that, I was kept on on that track, and I don't even remember having a craving, saying, "Oh, I need to go back maybe to eat a little bit of meat," and I didn't have that. And because as well in my life, the way I am, when I take a decision, I can stick to it. And
Good for you.
so for me, it was not really a struggle to embrace this plant-based nutrition, and especially, like I said, because when I was starting this plant-based nutrition, the first week was horrendous. So I sat there. So for the first week, I had massive headaches that I've never had in my entire life. I had a cold sore. My joints starting to ache even more. So it was really bad. And here at home, my family even asked me to stop. But I said, no, I'm going to continue to do that.
Because you were going
And
through a
after,
detox, right?
yes,
You were
exactly.
detoxifying.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that's why. And that's why a lot of people don't understand that when you change abruptly like that, you go through a detox, and for most people, they will say it's not working, and they will revert back to what they were doing.
absolutely.
So
So
for me,
important.
yeah, for me,
So
I just
important.
kept in,
Yeah.
and after a week, all these detox symptoms completely disappeared. I started to feel again.
Very good. Very good. So, Olivier, it's my observation, having spent most of my life in Africa before I came to Canada, that if you look at people who live traditionally in Africa, I'm not talking about the well-connected bureaucrats who live like Westerners with heavy lunches and that, but you look at most people, especially in the tribal areas, they might not have particularly varied diets like we think would be healthy. In Southern Africa particularly, it's heavily based on maize meal or cornmeal and some vegetables, but not necessarily a huge range of vegetables. And yet very few of them get overweight, very few of them get heart attacks, and normally they don't suffer from blood pressure. So is that not proof of what you're saying, that the better we can stick to a traditional type diet, the healthier we're going to be?
Yeah, exactly. Because when we look at all this food, the fruit, vegetable, legumes, grain, nuts, and seed, even those people, they still eat a little bit of meat, because
Yeah.
usually in the past they had to hunt, and they couldn't get the meat all the time. And even the meat that they was eating was organic. It was not
Yes,
pumped with a lot of antibiotics, a lot
that's
of
right.
stuff like that. And all these animals were even eating the proper food. But the animals that grow now, for example, the chicken, they are
Mm.
supposed to
Yeah.
eat
Growth
grain,
hormones.
but they
Yeah,
give them meat powder, so they don't even eat the food biologically designed for the systems.
that's
But
right.
when you look at these people, they were mostly eating the food that you see in nature. So
Yep.
that's why you could say that the health was pretty good. They were not being sick all the time like we are
No,
now. Because when we look at, like I've just said, 51% of what we eat as a race is processed food. And
processed food.
there's everything. That's why we are the sickest, we're sicker than ever because
Yeah,
of that. But when you eat the food biologically designed for the human mechanism, the food that grows in nature, then your health will be pretty good. And
that's
especially
right.
if you entertain positive emotion most of the time, you don't put a lot of bad cosmetic product on your skin, on your
Hmm.
hair, there's no
True.
reason for you to be sick.
That's right. And I think another important thing that modern life is missing out on is that people in tribal areas, be it Africa or anywhere else, when they kill an animal, they tend to eat all the organs, so the liver and the kidneys and the whole lot, which used to be common, certainly in the lower income groups in Europe, but I think that's gone now, and they've switched to fast food. I can remember as a kid, my family would always eat liver and kidneys, and my former wife's family used to like tripe, right, which is the stomach lining, and the
Yeah.
Scottish people put in organs into haggis. I think a lot of that's fallen out of fashion nowadays, which is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So these people knew they had really good wisdom, but
Sure.
for now we have lost all these things, and yeah,
And
Back
of
to you,
course,
Kathleen.
another thing to do to make note of is when you do change your diet, it's so important to have people to support you. Family and friends need to support you in that endeavor because it's a hard because if they're used to inviting you over for dinner and traditionally they are always cooking some sort of meat and you're not eating that anymore. It's important, right? It's
yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah. It's very, 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 very important. Very, very important. And for me, I was blessed that my wife was able to support me in this weight loss journey. And because when I decided to stop animal product, dairy product, and most processed food, I told them that, okay, I'm going to do that myself. I'm not going to force anybody to follow me. And she was really supportive. And what is good is that for her, she was able to get into that plant-based nutrition as well after 2 weeks. And for her, it
Mm.
was even better. She was able to lose 99 pounds, which
Wow.
is a lot.
Wow.
That's very
Yeah,
good.
Amazing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when you're working with people, how do you encourage them to stay on this plant-based diet, especially when many will say, well, they don't feel completely satisfied unless they have some meat. What is your answer to that?
Yeah, first of all, the first thing that I will do is that, first of all, to transform their mindset because they need to have the right mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, it's not going to work. They need to see that it's going to be possible for them to change, that they will be able to make it. Because as soon as they start telling themselves that it's going to be difficult, they're not going to be able to make it and stuff like that. Yes, because your mind is very, very powerful. Your
Mm.
subconscious mind will make sure that you don't succeed. So that's the first thing that I will tell them to do. And for those people who cannot really do that, what I will ask them to do is to start using the uh, plant-based processed food as a transition food. For example, they can
Okay.
eat the tofu. For example, they can eat the tempeh. They can eat those fake meat just to sustain them so that they transition and they get used to it, and then they can transition to be really, really fully on the plant-based nutrition and let go of this transition food. So that's what I'm going to tell them to do. And something else as well, I will ask them to start introducing very slowly the fruit, the vegetables, the legumes, grain nuts, and seed, and to take off the meat, dairy product very slowly as well, so that the body can get used to the change. Because if you do that like me, you go cold turkey, it's not a good strategy.
Right. So
That's right.
I'm curious, what would a day of nutrition look like for you? So you get up in the morning, you have breakfast. What does breakfast look like? What does lunch look like? And what does dinner look like?
Yeah, for me, I don't have breakfast. I only
Okay.
eat twice a day. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Oh,
I
is that
do
right? Okay.
intermittent. Yeah, I do intermittent fasting,
Hmm.
so I don't have breakfast. So I start my to eat at 12. At 12, it's always fruit, always fruit. And at my stage of my journey, for the time being, I'm eat 98% of what I eat is raw, and 2% is cooked food. So
Wow.
what I will do in a week, for example, I've got 14 meals. So 12 will be just fruit, and two will be some salad. And in the salad, maybe I can put some tofu that I will cook or some mushroom that I will cook and stuff like that. So, for example, if I have to have some salad, it's going to be lettuce, some cucumber, some sweet corn, and stuff like that. And for people who still eat, if I, for example, eat some cooked food, maybe I can have some plantain bananas with some beans,
Hmm.
with some spinach, or I can have some yam with I don't know, lentils, with some cauliflower or some broccoli. So just things that you find in nature. So
Right.
that's how my meal will look like. But like I said, it's only 2 meals a day and no snacking in between.
Right. And you're not opposed to spicing up your dishes as well. So what you're cooking, you can use herbs to flavor that, right? Because oftentimes,
Definitely, because it comes from nature. You find all
right.
these spices in nature, so no
Sure.
problem with that.
So when you
Hmm.
say fruit, what fruits are you eating? Apples, bananas, oranges, pineapple, mango, all of the above, or do you have specific ones that you tend to gravitate to?
No, no, I eat all of them.
All
All
of
of them
them.
is just
Yeah.
what I find, what I can find when I go to do my grocery shopping.
Yeah.
That's what I will buy. But I really like mangoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you do from where you from where you came from originally. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And do you find, well, I know that when I was in Zimbabwe, I used to export horticultural products to the UK. So I know that lots of mangoes are exported from Africa to the UK. So I guess you have no problem finding enough fruit in the UK now.
Um, not that I would like to. It's mostly the same fruit and all that, and I
Sure.
really miss being in Africa, where I will be able really variety of fruit and stuff like that. Yeah,
And straight off the tree, right?
yeah,
You, you
Right.
can walk down some of those, Kathleen. You can walk
Yeah.
down villages there, and there's a branch of a mango tree hanging over someone's fence, and you can take a mango as you're walking, yeah? Or an
yeah.
avocado is the other one, and more. Wow. So Olivier, I wanted to talk to you about exercise. You mentioned in your story on your website that you didn't actually go to a gym to lose weight. What's your view, though, on the benefit of exercise as part of this healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, it's a very important in the fact that when you look, for example, at the blood can circulate in the body because we've got the heart, and the heart will pump the blood. But when you look at the lymphatic system, which
Mm.
is the sewage system, doesn't have
Hmm.
a pump. And for the
That's right.
body to be able to get rid of all the toxins of the garbage, it's through the lymphatic system. And for the lymphatic system to work properly, you need to be in movement, because the movement will facilitate the delivery of nutrient and facilitate the removal of toxins. But what I don't necessarily say to people to go to the gym, because personally I've never been to the gym. What I was doing, just in the morning when I would wake up, I would do 5 minutes of stretching exercise. I will do 5 minutes of rebounding. And
Mm.
on Sunday, I will go for a 2 hour walk. That's all I was doing as
Hmm.
exercise.
Hmm.
And in my house, for example, I would be moving out. I'll be going up the stairs and stuff like that. So that's the kind of exercises that I was doing. But yes, exercise is very important. And it's really a shame for people who are really sedentary. They don't want to move. Even, for example, to go to the shopping center to buy the food, they will have that delivered. And
Mm.
that's
Hmm.
completely wrong.
That's
Right.
right. And
And
again, sorry, going back to the way people live in traditional societies, back to Africa, when I was farming in Zimbabwe, the children of our workers would walk a couple of miles to school, right? And it
Yeah.
didn't matter what the weather was like, they walked to school. And then they came home and they did chores for their parents
right.
from 5 years old. So everybody is moving on and off all day long.
But you
And then with
mentioned
the
the
healthy things.
rebounder, Olivier, and I have a rebounder as well because that is one of the best things to do to get your lymphatic flowing is and for those of you who don't know what a rebounder is, it's like a little mini trampoline that you can bounce up and down on. It's actually kind of fun, but it's wonderful at getting the lymphatic flowing. So I'm glad that you actually mentioned that, Olivier. So
Yeah.
what about supplementation? Are you a proponent of supplementing your diet? Do you take multivitamins, and which ones do you take if you do take them?
No, I'm completely against all these supplements, because for me, they are synthetic. And for me personally, I think that what is synthetic the body doesn't recognize that. I think that with all that I'm eating, the fruit, vegetables, legumes, grains, and seed, I think my body can find all the supplements, so I don't really need all the supplement. I've never used it, and I don't intend to use that because I personally, like I said, I don't think that the body recognizes all these things. The body can recognize what is organic. When you eat, for example, a fruit, the body will know exactly what to take from it. But some people will say, okay, the way this fruit has been grown, they don't have the nutrient that I used to have, but even though people are saying that, just by eating that, I've been able to create an optimal health for myself. So I still continue to think that by just eating what I eat, it's possible to really create a great level of health, and I don't really need any supplement. I
Right.
think this is just maybe the pharmaceutical industry and all that, which still trying to get people who maybe don't want to who are trying to eat properly. They will tell them, no, you don't have in the fruit, the vegetables, you don't still have the nutrient that people used to have in before. You need to have these pills and stuff like that. So I'm not really a proponent of that.
And what about can your hormones actually be regulated on such a diet? Because
Yes,
I'm
yes.
thinking, like I've been hearing about, menopausal women, and menopausal women need more protein and in order to balance their hormones. But can that happen just on this plant-based diet?
Yes, it's possible. It's possible to have that. For example, my wife, she's 50, and she has got no problem with that. She's postmenopausal. She's got no problem with that. So I think, and I've helped also a lot of women with my coaching and all that. So it's not a problem. And what I think is mostly the mindset. When you start being bombarded with a lot of information, contradict the information that contradict themselves, and that's why people are lost. They don't know what to do. But when you just turn inward and you look at your own experience, I think it will be possible to do that. So personally, I've not seen these problems with this diet.
Thank you.
Okay,
Peter?
good. Olivier, at this point in our episode, we like to ask our expert guest for one tip that he or she could give our audience. So I'm asking you, from your expertise of being on this healthy diet and losing all this weight, what's one thing you could suggest to our audience that they should start doing today to live a healthier life? What would your suggestion be for the first step for them?
Yes, the first thing that I would ask them to do is to start incorporating intermittent fasting,
Hmm.
because intermittent fasting is very, very important. And because in our culture, we've been told that we need to eat constantly. But what people don't understand, because they say you need to eat, will have strength and all that. But what people need to understand is that every time when you have something to eat, the body will produce insulin. And every time when you have peaks of insulin, what will happen? It's going to create cellular aging. So you will start aging very quickly, and basically you're going to die quicker. And what
Hmm.
people need to understand as well is that every time when the body produces insulin, it cannot produce what is called the human growth hormone. And the
Hmm.
human growth hormone is responsible for the growth of tissues in our bodies. And the body cannot produce all these two hormones at the same time. So when the body is digesting, it's going to produce insulin. It's not going to be able to produce the human growth hormone, and this is not right. And as well, when you are digesting food, the body cannot do the healing and cleansing. And this is
Hmm.
very, very important. And when you are snacking constantly, you're eating, the body will never have the chance to heal and cleanse. And as well, when you do intermittent fasting, the body goes through a process which is called autophagy, where it eats its own waste. And you can understand that if you are constantly eating, the body will never, ever have the chance to do all these
That's
things.
right.
And that's why, like I said, for me, I only eat twice a day. And for example, when I eat at 6 p.m., my next meal will be at 12 p.m., which will be like 18 hours
18 hours, yeah.
without eating anything. And as well, in between meals, I don't snack. So it's like I give my body maybe 20 hours of not digesting food. And that's why I've been able to create a high level of health. And like I said, for the past 8 years, I've not been sick a single day. So intermittent fasting is very, very important.
Very good. Very good. I'm not as good as you. I do 13 hours between supper and breakfast. I do 13. Now, what I do for quite often for periods of months at a time is I do a 24-hour fast, complete no solid food for 24 hours. Um, I stopped it because during the summer I was working much harder physically, so I was losing weight. So I didn't need to go back to that. But as winter progresses, I'll probably go back on to once a week, 24 hours, no solid food. What's your opinion on that? Do you think that's good, or could that be harmful?
No, it's a very good. Every time when you spend a long time without having some food, that's very good because it gives the body to rest and to do the healing and cleansing. That's very, very good. It's like, for example, me today. Went to a meeting and they gave me food. And basically, I had that food. It was 1 p.m. No, 12. 12 p.m. and I had a little bit more food. And for example, now I'm not hungry. So I'm going to eat. My next meal is going to be tomorrow at 12. So I'm going to spend 24 hours without having anything to eat. So it's very, very good. If you do 24 hours, that's even better. Yes, it's very good.
It's also very good for the mental discipline of being able to go without food for 24 hours because that's sometimes tougher than the physical craving. Anyway, that's thank you for that answer. That's very good. Now, Kath, I know that you've got something special you want to tell our audience, but I'm going to go back to Kathleen for a moment.
Well, Olivier, please tell us how people can contact you.
Yes, so for people to contact me, first of all, I would like to give your viewers and your listeners my 7 tips to lose weight. These are the exact same 7 tips that I've used myself to lose all this weight. And I would like to give them free so that they can kickstart their weight loss and wellness journey. And as well, I would like to, for people who would like to buy my book, which is The Plant-Based Nutrition, How It's Going to Change Your Life. It's on sale on Amazon. People can get that over there, or they can go on my website, which is oliviermankondo.com, oliviermankondo.com. And over there, they will be able to get that cheaper. And on top of that, they will be able to have 4 more bonuses. And for people who would like to dive deeper, they can book a discovery call with me. And on the discovery call, we're going to look at the goals, the priorities, and the health concern. We're going to discuss the diet history and have a look at the current lifestyle, including their routine and habits. We will also going to work together to identify any limitations and change them so that we can create a plan of actions that overcome these limitations and set them on a path toward achieving the short and long-term goals. And also during this call, we're going to establish if there's a good fit. And if that's the case, then there will be an opportunity to work together so that we can fix all these issues that has been troubling them once and for all. And basically, that's what people can do if they would like to find me.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Peter, did you have a final word?
My final word is, again, to thank Olivier, and it's nice to speak to someone who spent a lot of his or part of his life in the same part of the world that I spent mine. It's always interesting to compare notes. Thank you, Olivier. Thanks to our audience for listening and watching.
Well, thank you, Olivier, and thank you also very much for tuning in. And until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.